The skies above Earth burned. From orbit, the blue planet looked like a dying ember. Plumes of fire streaked across the continents, glowing orange against the darkness. Entire cities were nothing more than scars of molten glass. For the first time in living memory, Earth's night sky was darker because her networks of satellites, once glittering like constellations, had been shattered, picked off one by alien guns. On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, Commander Vex Duran of the Galactic Hegemony's 7th Assault Fleet studied the view with disdain. He stretched his triple-jointed arms, his armored exoskeleton clicking faintly, and leaned forward in his command chair. "Status report," he demanded. His mandibles clicked with impatience. Lieutenant Kraz, smaller and slighter than her commander, scurried forward with a datapad clutched in her primary hands. Her secondary limbs remained folded respectfully behind her thorax. "Human defense grid is at 32% capacity, Commander. Their orbital platforms have been neutralized. Ground-based installations failing rapidly. Victory is inevitable." "Inevitable?" Vex's laughter was a sharp, chittering sound that echoed across the bridge. "Victory was inevitable the moment our fleet entered this system. The Council wasted centuries fretting about the potential threat of this species. Look at them now, fragile, disappointing." Kraz hesitated. "They have shown resilience." Vex turned his eye stalks on her, his glare cold. "Resilience? 3 continents are burning, their governments collapsed, their armies scattered, pathetic." But before he could dismiss the subject, a technician's call cut through the bridge. "Live feed from Sector 7, Commander. Our troops are advancing on the human research facility." The main view screen flickered, filling with images from a trooper's helmet camera. The ruins of a mountain compound stretched across the display. Steel and stone had been blasted open. Human bodies littered the ground, their red blood steaming in the cold air. "Any resistance?" Vex asked, already bored. "Minimal," Kraz replied. "Scattered soldiers, no organized command. Our intelligence suggests this facility contained experimental weapons research, possibly shields strong enough to withstand orbital bombardment." Vex let out a snort. "Where were these shields when we reduced their cities to ash?" Before Kraz could respond, the camera jolted as the trooper ducked behind cover. Plasma fire erupted from the compound's center. Human voices shouted defiantly. "What is this?" Vex demanded, irritation replacing his boredom. Kraz zoomed the feed. A small group of humans are holding position at the central laboratory. The display sharpened. 3 humans crouched behind makeshift barricades, returning fire with projectile rifles. 2 were men, weary, desperate, but determined. The third was a woman, her armor scorched and cracked. She stood slightly ahead of the others. Unlike her companions, her aim was deliberate, every shot striking true. An uncomfortable number of hegemony soldiers lay motionless in her wake. "Who is that?" Vex leaned forward. Kraz tapped her pad. Facial recognition identifies her as Commander Tess Reeves, head of Earth's Adaptive Defense Division, responsible for most of their advanced weapon systems over the last decade. "A weapons designer," Vex clicked his mandibles, "with combat skill unusual." On the screen, Reeves dropped another trooper with a single shot to the sensory cluster. She moved with a mixture of soldier's precision and engineer's calculation, but still futile. Vex pressed a control on his chair. "Ground Commander Zia, enough of this nonsense. Deploy heavy weapons." "Understood, Fleet Commander." The camera panned back as alien troopers retreated. A mobile artillery platform rolled forward, its cannon charging with a sickly green glow. Reeves shouted something to her companions, who redoubled their fire in a desperate attempt to destroy the platform before it fired. Too late. The cannon discharged, a beam of plasma reducing the barricades to slag. The 2 male soldiers were vaporized instantly. Reeves was thrown against the wall like a doll, her armor sparking as she crumpled into a broken heap. "Well, that's that," Vex said with satisfaction. "Secure the facility." But the feed did not end. The camera zoomed. Reeves was moving. Blood masked her face. One arm hung limp, useless, her legs dragged behind her. Yet she crawled inch by inch toward something that had fallen from her armor, a small, metallic device. Vex tilted his head. "Is she still alive?" Kraz's voice carried a note of disbelief. "Yes, Commander, humans endure." Vex chuckled, his voice sharp. Look at that pathetic display. She thinks she can still fight. Bridge crew, place your bets. How far will she crawl before she expires? 3 meters, I say. A ripple of laughter filled the bridge. Officers called out wagers as the battered woman reached the device, smearing it with blood as she fumbled one-handed to activate it. "What is that?" Vex asked. Kraz zoomed further. Some sort of controlled device, possibly a detonator. She may be attempting to destroy the facility to deny us the technology. Vex laughed again, scared of a half-dead human with a button, pathetic. On screen, Reeves pressed the device against her chest. A small light shifted from red to green. "What is she doing?" Vex demanded. The answer came at once. The device liquefied, spreading across her body like quicksilver. Within seconds, her broken frame was encased in a skin-tight sheath of metallic nanites. Where it touched her injuries, pulses of blue energy flared, knitting flesh and bone. Reeves stood, not stumbling, not dragging herself, but standing tall. The silver mask covered her face, leaving only 2 glowing blue points for eyes. "What in the 7 hells is that?" Vex whispered, his amusement gone. The artillery platform swiveled and fired again. The plasma beam struck her squarely and was absorbed. The suit rippled with sickly green light as it drank in the energy. Then Reeves moved. One moment she was standing motionless, the next she was 30 meters away, her arm transformed into a blade of liquid metal. She sliced through the platform's cannon as if it were paper. The explosion consumed the weapon and its crew in a fireball that blinded the camera. When the feed cleared, she stood alone amid burning wreckage, the veins of her suit now pulsing with stolen energy. On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, silence reigned. Officers stared at the screen, mandibles slack. "What is this technology?" Kraz whispered. Vex had no answer. Nothing in centuries of intelligence had hinted at such a weapon. It was beyond advanced. It was arcane. On screen, Reeves turned her masked face toward the camera. Though featureless, the gesture carried weight. "I see you." Her voice came through the trooper's comms, no longer just human but layered, as if a chorus spoke with her. "You should have finished the job, Commander Vex Duran." The words carried not desperation, but certainty. "Now," Reeves said, her eyes burning blue through the mask, "I'll show you what humanity is capable of." The feed cut to black. On the bridge, silence stretched. For the first time, Vex Duran felt something alien to him, dread. The inevitable conquest trembled under its commander's rage. "Find her," Vex Duran's mandibles clacked furiously. "I want every camera, every sensor, every trooper on that mountain scanning for the human." His bridge crew scrambled, claws tapping frantically across consoles. Kraz bent over her datapad, compound eyes reflecting the pale glow of her screen. "Commander, our remaining ground forces report confusion. Their weapons systems are failing intermittently. Communications are unstable." "Excuses," Vex snapped. "A single human cannot destabilize an entire battlefield." But even as he said it, his confidence faltered. He remembered the way she had stood, unbroken, remade, her armor shimmering like liquid steel. The beam that should have vaporized her had become her strength. This was no longer war as he understood it. Earth, the mountain facility. Commander Tess Reeves did not feel human anymore. The suit moved with her, through her as if it were alive. Her broken ribs were whole. Her legs, crushed by the artillery blast, were strong again. Even the blood caked on her skin had been reabsorbed by the nanites, repurposed for energy. She flexed her fingers. The metallic surface rippled, forming and reforming into different shapes. A blade, a shield, a claw, then it returned to a human hand. Her companions were gone, vaporized in the first blast. She forced herself not to think of their faces. Grief was a weight she could not afford, not now. The alien troops ahead of her had fallen silent. She could sense them, not with eyes or ears, but through some new awareness the Lazarus suit provided. Every plasma weapon hummed like a beacon. Every nervous system flickered faintly in her perception. And beyond them's the network. A flood of alien data brushed against her consciousness. She did not understand the language, yet meaning flowed into her mind as if translated by instinct. Ship status, weapon calibration, tactical commands. It was as if the nanites were drinking from the hegemony's systems directly, and she was merely the vessel. Tess staggered, clutching her head. "What is happening to me?" The suit's harmonic voice answered inside her skull, layered with her own. You are adapting. We are adapting. Survival requires evolution. Survival, she whispered, her lips trembled, or something more. The reply was not words, but a pulse of certainty that coursed through her veins. Both. Orbit, hegemony fleet. Vex Duran tried to mask his unease as another report arrived. Commander, an officer chirped, frigate Relentless Justice has gone dark. No response to hails. Internal systems show catastrophic failure. Explain, Vex growled. The officer faltered. Their containment fields collapsed. Weapons discharged simultaneously. It appears deliberate, as if someone overrode all safety protocols at once. Vex slammed a claw into the armrest of his chair. Are you saying the humans sabotaged one of our ships from the surface? Impossible. But Kraz, pale and trembling, whispered, unless she's inside our systems. The words chilled the bridge. On the view screen, another ship flared suddenly, its reactor core erupting into fire. The refugees. Far below, deep in the caves beneath the ruined city of Denver, survivors gathered around flickering lamps. Elias Navarro, once an engineer for orbital construction, sat with dirt streaking his face, a rifle awkwardly slung across his lap. He had never been a soldier, but the invasion had forced everyone into roles they were unprepared for. Beside him sat Mara, an alien, tall, thin, with skin like polished stone and large, mournful eyes. Her species, the Yelani, had once been servants of the hegemony, forced into labor across conquered worlds. When the fleet came to Earth, she had escaped her overseers and found herself among humans who, unlike her masters, offered food and shelter without chains. Now she fought for them. They will find us soon, Mara murmured in her soft, melodic voice. Her four-fingered hands cradled a human child, orphaned in the bombardment. Elias nodded grimly. Then we make them bleed for every step. He checked his rifle again, though he knew it would do little against alien armor. Still, it was better than nothing. He thought of Tess Reeves. He had worked under her once on the Adaptive Shield project. Brilliant, uncompromising, always the last to leave the lab. If anyone could have given humanity a fighting chance, it was her. Somewhere above, thunder shook the cavern. The air itself seemed to vibrate. What was that? Someone whispered. Elias did not answer. Deep down, he hoped it was her. Return to the mountain. Tess advanced through the smoking corridors of the laboratory. Alien troopers had regrouped, forming defensive lines. Their plasma rifles lit the darkness in bursts of green fire. The suit absorbed each impact, its surface rippling with energy. She no longer thought of dodging, she was the weapon now. She moved through them like a storm, each strike economical, unstoppable. One soldier aimed a cannon directly at her chest. The blast struck, but instead of burning, it became light within her. The suit shuddered, then projected the energy outward in a focused beam that tore through the alien ranks. When the smoke cleared, silence followed. For a moment, Tess leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The suit sustained her body, but her mind was another matter. She felt stretched thin, caught between humanity and something new. Her comm implant buzzed, a voice faint, garbled, but human. Reeves, Tess, it's Navarro. We're alive down here. Where are you? Tess froze. Elias Navarro, one of her engineers. She had thought him dead in the first wave of bombardments. I'm still fighting, she said. Her voice emerged distorted, harmonized with the suit's resonance. Stay hidden, I'll find you. There was silence, then a hushed reply. God help us, Tess, you sound different. She ended the transmission, unable to answer. The bridge of the conquest. The laughter of the officers was gone. Now only fear remained. On the main view screen, words began appearing in blocky hegemony script. None of the officers typed them. None of their systems were sending them. You mocked what you did not understand. Vex stood rigid. Who is doing this? The lights on the bridge flickered. Consoles shorted, sparks spitting across the floor. From the screen, Reeves' image appeared, her silver form, her mask glowing with pulsing veins of light. You came here seeking conquest, her multi-toned voice intoned. Instead, you awakened something else. Cut the feed, Vex bellowed. But the image remained larger, clearer. Behind Reeves, alien soldiers fired desperately. None of their weapons touched her. She walked through their storm of fire as if it were rain. She stopped, staring directly at the camera. I see you, Commander Vex Duran. The bridge crew froze. None had told her his name. How does she know? Kraz whispered. Because she's inside us, Vex muttered, his confidence cracking for the first time. A choice in the dark. Deep in the caves, Elias Navarro and Mara heard the faint echoes of explosions above. The ground shook with every strike. Children whimpered, adults prayed. They're fighting each other, Elias said finally, staring upward. Or maybe someone's fighting for us. Mara studied him. You're kind, so fragile, so stubborn, yet you defy the hegemony more than any I've seen. Elias laughed bitterly. We don't know when to quit, that's all. Or perhaps, Mara said, her stone-colored eyes reflecting the lamp's glow, you don't know when to surrender. The new fire. Tess stood amid the ruins of the mountain facility, her suit thrumming with power. She could feel the entire hegemony fleet above her, each ship a blazing presence in her mind. She realized then that she had a choice. She could let the suit drive her, burn bright, destroy, annihilate until nothing remained. Or she could hold on to something human, something fragile, something worth protecting. She thought of Elias, of Mara, of the child. The suit pulsed with her hesitation. We adapt, we evolve, decide, predator or protector. Tess raised her head, both. Her eyes glowed brighter. The bridge of the inevitable conquest was drowning in alarms. Panels sparked. Status lights blinked red across the command pit. Systems once thought impregnable now flickered under foreign control. Vex Duran barked orders, his mandibles snapping with fury. Isolate the network, shut down all external feeds, cut every channel she can use. Commander, Kraz's voice was high and tight, her datapad trembling in her claws. It's too late. She's already inside our core architecture. She is bypassing firewalls as though they don't exist. She's one human, Vex bellowed. How can one human override technology perfected over millennia? But even as he shouted, the main view screen changed. Not by command of any officer, but by her will. The image was of the fleet, dozens of ships hanging in orbit above Earth like steel predators. Then one by one their hulls lit up in fire. Not real fire, but simulated overlays, projections of destruction that hadn't happened yet. Reeves' voice, layered and harmonic, filled the bridge. You are already burning. The projection vanished, but the fear it left behind remained. Beneath the surface, Elias Navarro paced the cavern floor, his boots grinding in the dust. The makeshift camp of survivors had grown restless. Some clutched rifles, others huddled around sputtering lamps. The air smelled of fear. We can't stay here forever, someone muttered. They'll find us. They're finding everyone, another replied bitterly. Elias paused near Mara. The Yelani sat cross-legged, her long fingers braiding scraps of fabric into rope. The orphan child she guarded slept against her side. You're calm, Elias observed. Mara's luminous eyes lifted to him. I have seen conquerors before. Panic does not save you, waiting does not save you, only change does. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. Change, huh? Humans aren't great at that. We hold on until it breaks us. Not always. Mara's gaze softened. Your commander Reeves, I heard the whispers in your camp. You believe she is alive. She was brilliant, Elias admitted. The kind of mind that sees 10 solutions when the rest of us see one. If anyone could make something out of nothing, it's her. Mara tilted her head. Perhaps she has changed. Perhaps your kind will follow. Before Elias could answer, the ground rumbled again, a low vibration that rattled loose stones from the ceiling. Some screamed, clutching one another. Elias grabbed his rifle. This was no orbital bombardment. It felt closer, stranger. Like the mountain itself was awakening. The laboratory ruins. Tess Reeves stood in the ashes of the laboratory, the Lazarus suit humming with power. She no longer felt the bite of wind or the ache of flesh. Every sensation was filtered through the nanites, enhanced, translated. Her vision extended beyond the spectrum, infrared, ultraviolet, even electromagnetic pulses from the alien weapons still crackling in the wreckage. More than that, she could feel the presence of the fleet above, each ship a beacon in her mind. She reached outward, curious, and the connection deepened. A flood of alien signals washed into her. Tactical data, navigation charts, fleet rosters, thousands of voices across encrypted comms. At first it was overwhelming, like drowning in a river of sound. Then the suit adapted, filtering, categorizing, shaping the chaos into clarity. She spoke, though no one was near. "Show me the flagship." Her vision blurred, then sharpened. Suddenly she was there, in the bridge of the inevitable conquest, staring through the eyes of its surveillance systems. She saw Vex Duran raging, Kraz trembling, officers scurrying like insects. And she realized they could not see her. She was the ghost in their wires. Orbit, fear spreads. "Commander," another officer cried. "Our weapon systems are cycling without command, reactor levels fluctuating, we're losing control." "Reroute," Vex snapped. "It's not responding." Then across the fleet, comm channels lit up with the same message, repeated in the hegemony's own script. "You mocked what you did not understand. Now you will learn." The bridge fell silent. Even Vex felt his exoskeleton grow cold. "She's taunting us," Kraz whispered. "No," Vex said grimly. "She's warning us." The suits whisper. Inside her mind, Tess felt the Lazarus nanites urging her forward. Assimilate, advance, destroy. Her heart pounded. "No, I'm not your weapon." "You are, you must be. Survival requires it." "I'm human," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm more than just survival." For a moment, silence, then a ripple of something like curiosity. The suit did not argue, it waited. Tess clenched her fists. "If we're evolving, it's going to be on our terms." She looked upward, toward the flagship orbiting like a vulture. Time to pay them a visit. The descent into fear. In the caverns, Elias and Mara heard distant thunder roll across the skis. But this was no storm. The air shimmered faintly, as though charged with static. Children cried out, lamps flickered. For a moment, Elias thought the aliens had found them. Then the sound grew softer, stranger, a hum, almost like singing, reverberating in his chest. Mara placed a hand on the wall. "Do you feel it? Something is changing." Elias nodded slowly. He didn't understand. But for the first time since the invasion, hope stirred in his gut. The flagship breached. The Conquest shuddered as bulkheads slammed shut across its decks. "Commander," a technician cried. "Section 5 reports hostile incursion." Vex whipped around. "Impossible, no boarding craft breached us. No human vessel is within range." The officer's voice faltered. "Sir, the incursion originated inside the ship." On the view screen, security feeds flickered to life. Soldiers lined a corridor, weapons raised. At the far end, the elevator doors slid open. And she stepped out. Tess Reeves, encased in silver, veins of pulsing energy tracing her body. Plasma bolts erupted from the soldiers, filling the corridor with light. She didn't dodge, she didn't even flinch. The suit absorbed every impact, glowing brighter with each shot. When their weapons overheated, she stepped forward. Her voice carried through the ship-wide comms. "My turn." What followed was not a battle, it was slaughter. She moved like a blade through water, unstoppable, inevitable. Weapons died in her hands, armor shorted at her touch, every strike was final. On the bridge, silence reigned. Even Vex felt a tremor of fear crawl through his thorax. This is not possible." Kraz stared at her datapad. "It is happening." Tess at the crossroads. As she advanced deeper into the flagship, Tess felt the weight of the fleet pressing against her mind. She could kill them all. It would be easy. The suit whispered to her, urging her to unleash everything, to burn this invader fleet into ash above Earth. But then she remembered Elias, Mara, the child, the huddled survivors waiting in the dark. If she became nothing but destruction, what would she be saving them for? At the next junction, she stopped. She placed her hand on the wall. The suit interfaced instantly, peeling away the secrets of the ship's design. Reactors, engines, command systems. She saw every path, every weakness. And she whispered, more to herself than the aliens listening. "You should have finished me when you had the chance. Now you've given me choices." The inevitable conquest groaned, as if it knew what was coming. In the command pit, Vex Duran's mandibles twitched with agitation. "Deploy every soldier. Seal the engineering decks. She must not reach the reactor." "Yes, Commander," Kraz said, her claws darting over her datapad, but her tone betrayed hesitation. She could already see it in the data streams. Every door they sealed opened again moments later. Every lockout failed as if mocked. Reeves wasn't forcing her way through the ship was obeying her. The march through steel. Tess Reeves walked calmly, the silver nanite suit pulsing with absorbed energy. Plasma bolts flashed around her, but the suit bent them, redirected them, drank them in. The more they fired, the stronger she became. At one junction, two hegemony shock troopers braced themselves with heavy cannons. Their weapons spat beams hot enough to melt through tank armor. Tess raised her hands, and the suit flowed into a concave disc across her chest. The energy poured into it, swirling like a miniature sun. "Thank you," she said, her multi-toned voice echoing through the corridor. The disc reversed, unleashing a beam so concentrated that the guards and the blast doors behind them dissolved in a single flare of white. Tess stepped through the molten opening without slowing. Her thoughts split across layers of awareness. One part of her focused on walking, fighting, adapting. Another listened to the hum of the reactor ahead, calling like a heartbeat. And deeper still, a part of her mind drifted through the fleet's network, pulling threads of data, feeling the fear ripple through alien comm channels. She was no longer fighting for survival. She was changing the rules of the war. Underground hope. Beneath the surface, Elias Navarro gathered the survivors. The rumble above had grown constant now, vibrating through the stone walls. Dust rained down with each tremor. "They're tearing each other apart up there," someone muttered. Elias shook his head. "No, this feels different." He looked to Mara. The Yelani's expression was unreadable, her stone-colored skin catching the lantern glow. "You know something," Elias pressed. Mara nodded slowly. "I know what the hegemony fears most. Change. They build empires on control. When control fails, they shatter." "And Reeves?" Elias asked. Mara's luminous eyes softened. "She is more than herself now. I can feel it. The air itself hums with her presence. If she succeeds, you will not just survive. You will become something the galaxy has never seen." Elias swallowed hard. Part of him wanted to believe. Another part was terrified. What if Reeves became something worse than the invaders? What if humanity lost itself in the process? The child in Mara's lap stirred, clutching her arm. Elias forced himself to silence his doubts. Whatever Reeves was becoming, Earth needed her. The reactor doors. At last, Tess reached the final bulkhead. Radiation warnings blazed in alien script across its surface. Two armored guards waited, their cannons primed. They opened fire instantly. The blast hurled Tess backward into the wall, pinning her there. For a moment her suit shuddered, struggling to contain the torrent. Pain seared through her nerves. But the nanites adapted. The silver surface rippled, reshaping into a vortex that drank the beams greedily. Tess smiled beneath the mask. "Allow me to return the favor." The vortex spat their own energy back at them. A blazing sphere that vaporized both soldiers and carved a perfect circle into the reactor door. The molten metal dripped as Tess stepped through. Inside, the core chamber stretched vast, a cathedral of steel and light. The reactor pulsed at its center, a roaring sun trapped in a cage of containment fields. Its energy was enough to power a fleet of worlds or destroy them. And it was hers for the taking. The bridge in panic. On the bridge, Vex's exoskeleton clattered as he rose from his chair. "Shut it down, vent the chamber, collapse the containment if you must." "Sir," Kraz cried, horrified, "if we collapse containment, the entire fleet tethered to this flagship will go critical. Tens of thousands of our own will die." Vex's mandibles clicked. Better tens of thousands than the annihilation of the hegemony itself. But before he could give the final order, the main view screen changed again. Tess Reeves stood in the reactor chamber, bathed in the pulsing glow. "You gave me your weapons," her voice intoned, harmonized with the hum of the core. "You gave me your systems, now you've given me your heart." Vex's claws dug into his chair. "Cut the feed." No one moved, no one dared. The choice. The Lazarus suit pulsed with hunger. Absorb, amplify, transcend. Tess hesitated. If she absorbed the reactor, she could end the fleet in moments. But the power might consume her. Humanity might not gain a protector, but a monster. Her mind drifted to the caverns below. Elia's weary face. Mara's steady calm, the child asleep in her arms. She whispered aloud, "I won't lose myself." The suit's voice thrummed in her skull. "Then we will evolve together." She reached out and pressed her hand against the reactor's containment field. The energy surged into her like a tidal wave. The chamber blazed white. Beneath the earth, In the cavern, Elias staggered as the ground roared. The air seemed to vibrate with song, an unearthly chorus echoing through the rock. Children covered their ears. Adults fell to their knees. Mara did not move. She stared upward, her expression one of awe. "She is touching the fire," she whispered, "and it is singing back." Elias clenched his fists, torn between dread and hope. "Just hold on, Tess," he muttered. "Hold on to who you are." The Ascension. On the bridge of the Conquest, the emergency lights dimmed. The main view filled with a blinding glow. For a moment, it was as if the reactor itself had exploded. Then the light coalesced into a figure. Tess Reeves stood encased in silver, but no longer just silver. Veins of green, blue, and violet fire pulsed across her body. Her presence filled the chamber, every console flickering in unison with her heartbeat. Vex staggered back, his voice barely a whisper. "What is she?" Kraz's datapad trembled in her claws. "She is evolving." Tess lifted her head. The mask shifted, revealing her human face beneath, unmarred, her eyes blazing like twin stars. Her voice echoed shipwide, layered and commanding. "You came to enslave, to conquer, to burn. Instead, you have given us the means to rise. Humanity will not fall. Humanity will not bow. Humanity will evolve." The fleet-wide comms erupted in chaos. Some captains screamed for retreat, others begged for orders. But the truth was clear, the fleet was no longer under their command. It was under hers. The inevitable conquest shook as though gripped by invisible hands. On its bridge, officers screamed reports that blurred into chaos. Whole screens of data collapsed under alien interference that was no longer alien. Vex Duran stood rigid in the command pit, his claws gripping the railing as he tried to steady his racing mind. "Status," he roared. "Frigate Iron Fang, weapons malfunctioning, firing on our own ships. Destroyer Relentless Spear, reactors overloading. Escort Wing 4, responding to human command signals, not ours." Every report was a nail in the coffin of the hegemony's control. Vex turned toward Kraz. "How is she doing this?" Kraz's voice shook. "She absorbed the core. The Lazarus suit interfaces with technology, adapts to it. Every system we use is hers now. She's rewriting our fleet into her own design." Vex's mandibles clattered in rage. "Then we burn her out before she consumes us all." But even as he spoke, the deck vibrated with a pulse. The overhead lights dimmed, then flared. Across the fleet, weapons fired without command. Ships turned on each other. Hundreds of alien lives ended in a storm of friendly fire. And in the middle of it all stood Commander Tess Reeves, her voice echoing across every comm, layered and inescapable. "You should have left Earth alone." The burden of power. Inside the reactor chamber, Tess fought to hold herself together. The power surging through her was more than human nerves were meant to carry. The Lazarus suit whispered constantly, 1,000 overlapping voices urging her onward. Assimilate, expand, dominate. But Tess clenched her jaw. No, not domination, protection. The suit pulsed with her will, shifting its chorus. Not silence, never silence, but agreement, tempered by her choice. Together they reached out across the network, commandeering systems with the precision of a scalpel. One destroyer's reactors cooled at her touch, halting their overload. Another's guns redirected, no longer firing blindly into friend or foe, but disabling only the most aggressive attackers. For every vessel she seized, another resisted. But resistance only fed her. Every code lock broken, every firewall absorbed, every alien command undone, all of it became knowledge she would never lose. It terrified her. "Elias," she whispered, "don't let me lose myself." Beneath the earth, the cavern echoed with thunder as the war raged above. Elias Navarro pressed his ear to the stone wall, trying to interpret the sounds. Explosions, shocks, screams carried faintly on comm static that seeped through abandoned alien channels. The survivors around him huddled tighter. Some prayed, some wept. Mara sat with the child still sleeping in her lap, her expression carved from calm. But Elias saw the flicker in her eyes. She was listening too, not with ears, but something deeper. "What do you hear?" Elias asked. Mara's gaze met his. "Your commander, she is everywhere now. She is burning them from within." Elias exhaled slowly. Part of him wanted to cheer, to shout, to let hope flood his chest. But another part shivered. If she can control them, who controls her? Mara stroked the child's hair. That is the question the galaxy will ask, and the answer depends on what you humans decide she truly is. Desperation on the bridge. On the Conquest, the bridge crew collapsed into fear. Officers abandoned stations, some fleeing the pit entirely. Others froze, staring at their consoles as if paralyzed. Vex's fury boiled over. He struck one officer across the face, sending the smaller creature sprawling. Cowards, she is one human in a suit. We are the hegemony, we do not fall to primitives. Kraz hissed softly. Primitives don't control our flagship, Commander. Vex rounded on her, his mandibles quivering. Enough! Prepare my shuttle. If I cannot save this fleet, I will carry word to the Council. Let them see the abomination Earth has unleashed. Let them send 100 fleets to glass this world into ash. But even as he spat the words, the lights flickered again. The main view screen shifted. Reeves stood there, her mask half drawn back to reveal her human face. Her eyes burned blue. You won't make it to your shuttle. Vex stiffened. You dare. You wanted to see Earth broken, Reeves said, her voice layered with harmonic tones. Instead, you will carry a message back to your council. Tell them humanity has awakened. Tell them we are not prey. Her eyes narrowed. Tell them we evolve. The ghost spreads. The Lazarus suit poured Tess's consciousness across the fleet. She no longer saw the ships as alien weapons. She saw them as extensions of herself, power waiting to be guided. One corvette broke formation, its engines screaming. Tess felt its systems like her own blood. With a thought, she silenced the engines, guiding the ship gently into a controlled drift. Another vessel attempted to flee. She reached out, feeling its captain screaming orders, trying to shut her out. Tess pressed deeper, bypassing codes, weaving through systems until her voice filled his comms directly. Run if you must, but Earth will never kneel again. The ship's engines died. The strain, but it was too much. Every system she seized tore at her humanity. Her mind stretched thin, balancing between billions of data points and the fragile anchor of who she had been. The Lazarus suit did not falter. It could handle the load. But Tess Reeves, the woman inside, felt her edges fray. She thought of Elias, of late nights in the lab, of laughter over cold rations. She thought of Mara, standing proud against her oppressors. She thought of the child who deserved a sky not filled with fire. Not a monster, she whispered, clutching at the thought like a lifeline. Not a god, just human. The suit pulsed an answer. Humanity evolves. The spark of rebellion. In the cavern, Elias' comm unit crackled. For a moment, the static resolved into a voice, Tess's voice, distorted and harmonic. Elias, can you hear me? He froze. Tess, my God, you're alive. I'm more than alive, her voice replied. But I need you. Tell everyone not to give up. We're winning. The line cut abruptly, but the cavern erupted with cries. Hope surged like wildfire. For the first time since the invasion, survivors looked at one another with something other than despair. Elias clenched his fist. She was still Tess, still fighting. Did you hear that? He shouted. We're not done, we're not finished. Mara smiled faintly. The galaxy will remember this day. A gamble of desperation. On the bridge, Vex Duran made his choice. Open all hangar bays, he barked. Prepare the fail-safes. Kraz spun to face him. Fail-safes, Commander, you can't mean. I do, Vex hissed. If she wants our fleet, then she will choke on it. I will trigger every self-destruct sequence, burn every ship in orbit. Earth will be nothing but glass and ash, even if it costs us our lives. He slammed a claw into the console. Across the fleet, hidden codes began to activate. Red lights flashed as reactors primed for collapse. Kraz gasped, You'll kill us all. Vex bared his mandibles in a grim smile. Better extinction than subjugation. The fleet above Earth shimmered like a dying constellation. On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, alarms shrieked. Across the tactical display, every ship blinked red, reactor cores spooling into overload. Vex Duran stood tall, mandibles spread in defiance. If we cannot rule, he declared, then we will erase, let Earth choke on our ashes. Officers froze, their compound eyes wide with terror. None dared resist. Only Kraz whispered, her voice trembling, This is not victory, this is madness. But Vex did not answer. His gaze was fixed on the screen, waiting for the fires that would consume both human and hegemony. The pulse, Tess Reeves staggered in the reactor chamber as the failsafe rippled through her. She could feel it, every ship priming for self-destruction, every reactor set to tear itself apart in less than 15 minutes. The Lazarus suit screamed with voices layered upon voices. Override, assimilate, break them. Her chest heaved. Her human mind reeled under the load. She was already controlling too much, a fleet's worth of systems balanced on the edge of her sanity. Now she had to reach deeper. Hold together, she whispered to herself. Hold on. The suit pulsed in harmony, together. She threw herself into the network. Beneath the surface, the survivors felt it first as a vibration through the cavern stone. Elias Navarro stumbled as the ground shook violently. Lamps crashed to the floor. Children cried out. "What is happening?" someone screamed. Elias' comm crackled with static, then Tess's distorted voice. "Failsafe, reactors primed, they'll burn Earth." The line went dead. Elias' stomach dropped. He turned to Mara. If those ships blow, we're finished. Mara's expression remained calm, though her eyes betrayed fear. Then she must stop them, or none of us will see another dawn. The cavern filled with panicked shouts. Elias raised his rifle and slammed the butt against the stone wall. "Listen to me. Reeves is fighting for us. She needs time. We don't run, we don't hide, we hold. If ground forces come for us, we buy her every second she needs." The crowd quieted, uncertainty lingering. Then Mara stood beside him, her alien form towering over the humans. "He speaks truth. Your world has given me shelter. I will fight for it even to the end. Will you do less for your own home?" Her words carried weight. Slowly the refugees rallied. Makeshift weapons were raised. For the first time since the invasion, the survivors were not cowering. They were preparing. Inside the network, Tess plunged deeper, the fleet system stretching before her like an ocean of code. She saw every reactor, every timer counting down. The failsafe was woven into the hegemony's core protocols, centuries of paranoia coded into every ship. It was elegant, merciless. If command was lost, destruction was inevitable. "Assimilate," the suit urged. She pressed harder. Firewalls burned away. Commands flickered under her will. But each override split her focus further, pulling her mind apart like glass under stress. Images flashed through her, Elias' face, Mara's calm strength, the child's innocent eyes, anchors to keep her human. "I won't let you die," she whispered, sweat beading beneath the nanite mask. "Not for their pride." The betrayal. On the bridge, Kraz's datapad beeped. Her compound eyes widened. "Commander, the failsafe is unraveling." Vex spun on her. "What do you mean?" "She's breaking it, one ship at a time." "Impossible." Kraz's mandibles twitched. "She adapts faster than we can imagine. Every system she touches becomes hers." Vex struck her across the face. "Traitor, you admire this abomination." Kraz straightened slowly, a thin line of ichor dripping from her mandible. "No, Commander, I fear her, but I also see what you refuse to admit. We have already lost." The defense below. The cavern trembled as alien boots pounded closer. Searchlights pierced cracks in the rubble above. "They've found us," Elias muttered. Mara stood, setting the child gently behind her. Her four-fingered hands gripped a scavenged plasma rifle. "Then we make them bleed." The first hegemony troopers burst through, mandibles wide in anticipation of slaughter. Gunfire erupted. Humans with rifles, scavenged pistols, even construction tools opened fire. Plasma bolts answered, sizzling against stone. Elias ducked behind a barricade, firing wildly. He was no soldier, but desperation steadied his aim. One alien fell, then another. Beside him, Mara moved like liquid stone, precise and deadly. Each shot from her rifle struck true, each movement protecting the humans around her. The survivors fought not as an army, but as people who had nothing left to lose. For the first time, the invaders met resistance that did not scatter. The shattering mind. Tess screamed as the failsafe buckled. Her body arched, the suit pulsing with uncontrollable light. She had overridden 20 ships, then 30, now 50. Each new mindless machine added to her consciousness, fracturing her humanity. "We can take them all," the suit urged, its chorus a flood of hunger. "No," she gasped. "Not like this, not if it costs me who I am." But even as she resisted, the code pressed harder, demanding more of her. Her veins felt aflame. Her thoughts blurred. She saw the countdowns dwindling. 10 minutes, 9, 8. If she faltered, Earth would die. Her voice broke into the comms, spilling across the network, across the fleet, across every surviving human hiding in caves and ruins. If I fall, fight on. Don't stop, don't ever stop. Vex's last stand. On the bridge, Vex Duran saw the impossible unfolding. Ship by ship, the failsafe flickered, died, replaced by Reeves's voice. You cannot have them, Vex bellowed. He tore a sidearm from its holster and leveled it at Kraz. You will not witness the end of the hegemony. But before he could fire, the main doors slid open. Tess Reeves stepped onto the bridge, her silver form blazing with green and violet light. You should have finished me, she said, her voice layered with 1,000 harmonics. Vex fired, the bolt struck her chest, only feeding her glow. Toy, she said, pushing the melted weapon aside with a single hand. Vex backed away, his mandibles quivering. You are no human, you are a parasite in their skin. Tess leaned close, her eyes burning like stars. No, Commander, I am what you made me. I am what humanity becomes when pushed too far. The bridge of the inevitable conquest glowed with alien fire. Tess Reeves stood at its heart, the Lazarus suit pulsing with too much power, threads of blue, green, and violet light racing across her silver skin. The air trembled with her presence, every console, every panel responding to her heartbeat. Vex Duran had fallen to his knees, his mandibles clattered not in defiance but in fear. What are you? He whispered. Tess turned toward him, her eyes like twin stars. For a moment she seemed a goddess, but her voice, layered though it was, carried human grief beneath its thunder. I am humanity, she said. I am what you made of us. Beneath the earth, the cavern was a battlefield. Elias Navarro fired until his rifle clicked empty, then grabbed a fallen trooper's sidearm. Beside him, Mara fought like a storm, her tall frame moving through the chaos with fluid precision. The survivors rallied around them, defending every entrance with desperate ferocity. The ground shook violently, knocking Elias against the wall. For a heartbeat, he thought it was another bombardment. Then his calm flared to life. Tess's voice poured through, harmonic, unstoppable. It's over, hold, Earth will live. The humans froze, the aliens faltered. Then the surviving troopers broke and ran, abandoning the cavern. Elias lowered his weapon, trembling with exhaustion. She did it. Mara set her rifle down and looked toward the ceiling. No, she is still doing it. The breaking point. On the flagship bridge, Tess's legs buckled. The Lazarus suit surged to keep her upright, but her human body screamed beneath the strain. She could feel everything, the entire fleet, the reactors, the weapons, the life support systems. Every ship was hers, and she could end them all. The suit urged her, erase them, destroy the invaders, burn the hegemony to ash. Her fists trembled. She wanted it. God help her, she wanted to see every ship that had slaughtered her people vanish in fire. But then she saw faces. Elias' weary smile, Mara's calm defiance, the child's laughter in the dark. They were why she fought. No, she whispered. We don't become monsters to fight monsters, we become more. Her voice spread through every ship's comms, clear and commanding. This invasion is over. Every hegemony soldier who lays down their weapons will live. Every ship that flees will be spared. Earth is not your prey. The choice of a fleet. Across the fleet, alien crews froze. Weapons hung silent. Captains shouted contradictory orders. Some officers spat defiance, swearing to fight to the last. But others, weary, terrified, lowered their arms. The Lazarus suit felt each surrender ripple through the network, and Tess allowed those ships to go dark, engines cooling, weapons folding away. Others resisted. Tess raised a hand. Their systems flared red, shutting down under her will. One destroyer, still firing toward Earth, had its reactors forcibly vented into space, leaving it a powerless hulk drifting silently. Mercy and judgment, side by side. The Conqueror broke in. Vex Duran trembled at her feet. His once proud voice cracked. You think mercy will save you? The Council will come with 100 fleets. They will glass this planet until nothing remains. Tess regarded him silently. Then, with a gesture, she opened the ship-wide comms. Her voice echoed not just through the conquest, but through every surviving hegemony vessel. Go, carry your fear to your council. Tell them humanity is not prey. Tell them what happens when they push us too far. Tell them we evolve. She stepped back, Kraz. The lieutenant froze. You will coordinate their retreat, Tess commanded. 3 hours, then any ship remaining in Earth orbit will burn. Kraz bowed her head, her mandibles trembling. As you command. Vex let out a strangled cry. Kraz, you betray the hegemony. Kraz turned to him, her voice quiet. No, Commander, you betrayed us when you underestimated them. The final surge. But even as the fleet began to scatter, Tess faltered. Her body shook violently. The power of the Lazarus Protocol was more than any human form was meant to contain. The suit adapted endlessly, but her mind was at its breaking point. She staggered against the console, her vision doubling. The voices of the nanites pressed closer, threatening to drown her. We can carry on without you? Let go. Let us lead. No, she gasped. Humanity leads, not you. Her knees buckled. For a terrifying moment, it seemed she would collapse completely. Then she heard Elia's voice, faint but clear through the comm. Tess, you're not alone. Hold on for us. The anchors steadied her. She forced the suit to stabilize, to balance power against her fragile body. Slowly, agonizingly, the storm inside her quieted. She remained Tess Reeves, not a god, not a machine, human. The withdrawal. Hours later, the skies above Earth were clearer. The surviving hegemony ships limped out of orbit, some under their own power, others guided reluctantly by Tess's command until they crossed beyond her reach. No weapons fired. No bombs fell. The invasion was over. In the cavern, survivors poured into the open air. They blinked at the pale sunlight breaking through smoke. For the first time in weeks, it was not drowned by fire. Elia stood beside Mara, watching the streaks of retreating ships vanish into the atmosphere. We survived. Mara tilted her head. No, you evolved. The child clutched Elia's hand, pointing skyward. Is she still up there? Elia swallowed. Yeah, she's still up there. The departure. On the Conquest, Tess walked the bridge one final time. The crew shrank away from her glowing form. She paused before Vex Duran, still slumped in defeat. You will tell your council the truth, she said. Vex hissed bitterly. They will come again. Tess's glowing eyes met his. Then we'll be ready. With that, she turned and stepped into the airlock. The doors slid shut behind her. In the cold of space, she floated free, the Lazarus suit propelling her like a comet. Below her, Earth turned, scarred but alive. Epilogue, the message. Weeks later, in the depths of space, the battered remnants of the 7th Assault Fleet limped home. On every ship, the story spread. Of a human who had turned their greatest fleet into her weapon, of mercy offered where destruction was expected. On Earth, the survivors rebuilt. Elias Navarro returned to his tools, but people listened when he spoke, because he had fought and endured. Mara remained, no longer a refugee, but a symbol of something greater, trust between species. And in the shadows of bunkers and laboratories, humanity studied the Lazarus Protocol, not to mass-produce it recklessly, but to prepare, to remember that they had the power to rise when pushed to the brink. Above them all, Tess Reeves remained more myth than woman, the soldier who became the storm. Her final words echoed across the galaxy, carried by fleeing ships and trembling officers who had seen her eyes. Humanity was never prey. We were waiting for the right predator to make us evolve.